Hello, it's me, Robin, with Simple Food, Simple Life. Today we're going to take a plain old box of mac and cheese, use the recipe on the box, and make something special. So come along with me and let's make it together. Hello, thanks for joining me today. I'm glad to see you. Today we're going to do something fun. We're going to follow the recipe on the box. Now, what I have here is a vacuum sealed pack of macaroni and cheese. This is the Hy-Vee store brand macaroni and cheese, which I purchased a couple of years ago, and I vacuum sealed it and put it down in my emergency pantry. So that's why it's like this. This is actually my last one, and I thought I would go ahead and use it. Now, not all boxes of mac and cheese have a recipe on the side, but this one just happens to have one. So let's take a look and see what it is. You can see there's the macaroni there, there's the cheese powder, and there's part of the rest of the box. That's how I do this when I vacuum seal them. That way I've always got the directions, I've got everything in there, and it vacuum seals perfectly. Okay, so let's see what this recipe tells us. Here's the recipe right here. It's on the side of the box. It is Italian macaroni beef casserole. Okay, so the recipe tells me that I need one package of the Hy-Vee original macaroni and cheese dinner, which is what I have here. I'm also supposed to have one 1/2 pound of ground beef. I do not have any ground beef, but I do have a pound of ground sausage that I happened to pick up at Aldi for $1.99. It calls for half of the package to be cooked. I'm going to cook the whole pound, and then I'm going to reserve part of it for pizza at a later time. It also tells me that I need 1 can of Italian style stewed tomatoes, undrained. I don't have any Italian style. I do have stewed tomatoes. These are from Aldi. They're 49 cents. And since I don't have any Italian tomatoes, I'm going to add Italian seasoning to the tomatoes. Okay? And I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. Now, the premise is that you cook these few ingredients together, but you make the mac and cheese according to the directions on the box. You make that ahead of time and set it aside, because when this is all mixed together, it's going to go in the oven. So, to make it my own, I am going to add some garlic powder, and I'm going to add a little bit of chopped onion because I had a tiny piece of onion left and I want to use it. And I also have some rehydrated mixed bell peppers. I was given some bell peppers, and so I could not eat them all at once. This was in November. And so my neighbor actually had some that she had popped in the freezer, and she said she's never going to eat those, so and they were whole, so I brought them home, chopped them up, and I dehydrated them, and I kept them in a jar. Isn't this a fancy label? Are you jealous of my label, my labeling skills? These are what they look like when they're dehydrated. And so I rehydrated them, These are just a portion I rehydrated, and the other portion I'm going to use also for a pizza for future use. So, isn't that exciting? Alright, so that's what we've got. I've got my water boiling here, or hopefully boiling soon, to get the mac and cheese made. And of course that calls for some butter and some a quarter cup of milk. So I'll get that made ahead of time, and in the meantime I will get started on the delicious other ingredients. There we go. My water is almost to the boil. So let's get the macaroni going. Do any of you happen to have a vacuum sealer? I've had one for quite a few years now. They come in very handy. The bags can be rather costly, the vacuum sealing bags. So if I have a bag, for example, like this one, that's just had pasta in it, nothing else, I will save the bag and reuse it. You can reuse it for other things, such as if you want to vacuum seal medication, my son-in-law vacuum seals ammunition. I'm just saying. So, you can use a vacuum sealer for a lot of stuff. This is the one I have happens to be a food saver. Alright. We're going to get that macaroni is going. You can see. And the sausage after it's done. I'm going to reserve half of this sausage, like I said, for the pizza, for a pizza at a later date. That's awesome. Hang on, I gotta wash this spoon off. It flipped right out. It's got a mind of its own. What happened? Accidents will happen. Okay. So, I'm gonna divide this up. We didn't lose too much of that. There's not a whole lot of fat in this. I'm kind of impressed with it. Awesome. There it is, reserved for pizza. Now, I'm going to put in the rehydrated peppers. You can use fresh peppers if you want, or don't use any peppers. It's up to you. And put the onion in there. I just thought it would taste good. That going. And I'm going to put the stewed tomatoes in there as well. These tomatoes are rather large. They're slices. See how they're sliced? But we're going to crush them as we cook them. I'm going to crunch them up, break them down a little bit, and if some of them are larger, I don't care. It's perfectly fine. You know, sometimes we forget about these recipes that are on the boxes of some of the products we buy. Now, I know not everybody buys the mac and cheese in the box. This was no doubt on sale, and I'm venturing to say it was probably maybe 3 boxes for $1. So that makes this box of mac and cheese pretty cheap. All right. bring this back up. I think I'm going to put some more Italian in there. Because now I have my oven preheated to 400 degrees. Stir up my macaroni here. Bring the heat up on under the sausage and vegetables, and I'm going to wait till the macaroni's done and then whip that up, and we will be back. Alrighty. I'm making this macaroni and cheese according to the directions, although I have to confess I usually use a little more milk than what the recipe calls for, what the directions call for on the box. It just makes it a little bit more creamy. Now, when you vacuum seal, if you do, your powder will get a little bit lumpy, but it will come out of it. Salt. Pepper. I'm just doing it the way I would normally do it if I were going to make this by itself. And that's what it says to do. It says to just make the mac and cheese according to the box directions. It's not rocket science, right? If you see some lumps, just squish them. And I turned the heat back on this just a little bit so that I can make sure everything is mixed up perfectly. Now, one thing I forgot to mention that is on the recipe on the box is a half a cup of shredded cheddar cheese. So I've got this, I've got a partial one that was in my fridge, and I've got some frozen, so I'm going to use that. That goes on the casserole. I think that looks pretty good, don't you? All right, let's take a look at the meat mixture. This looks really nice. I think I'm liking it. All right, now it says to mix them all together. That's what I'm going to do. You see why I add a little extra milk? It calls for a 1/4 cup of milk. I usually go for half of a cup. Get this mixed up. I don't know. I think this might be good. And like I said, I'm just going to leave it in this cast iron skillet because why dirty another pan? You can see how this would kind of extend that box of mac and cheese, don't you? Can you see how it would make it spread further? Well, I don't know. I think it looks pretty tasty. Alrighty. So now I'm going to put some cheese on the top. It calls for half a cup of cheese, but I think you should just use whatever your heart desires. Use your own best instincts for those things. And besides that, you know what your family likes. This mac and cheese is frozen. That's okay. Smells really, really good. All right. I think that's going to do it. Now we're going to put it in the oven at 400 degrees. It says for 10 minutes, but I'm just going to keep an eye on it and just take it out whenever I think it's ready to go. Okie doke. It's done. What do you think? That's a lot of food for about $3 or less. It really is. Let's see what it looks like. Well, I don't know. That looks pretty doggone good. This is going to be my supper. Well, I think I'll be able to eat this for quite a while, don't you think? Several meals? I think so too. You know what? I forgot something. I forgot to ask you to please like, subscribe, and share, because everybody needs to know how to do this stuff, right? Yes, they do. Listen, if you've never thought of checking out the box for a recipe or serving suggestions, go ahead and give it a try. There might be something on there that you can use or adapt for your family. By adding these ingredients, I have really stretched that box of macaroni and cheese. Wouldn't you agree? That humble little box of mac and cheese becomes something special. Wouldn't this be good served with, say, a garlic bread, or maybe a nice side salad, a simple little salad? Or, you know what, I was thinking while this was in the oven, you could put a little spinach in this casserole if you want to. And that would really ramp up the nutrition. All right. You want to take a little bit of a closer look there? That's pretty awesome. It's really, really delicious. And actually, I think I'm going to take a quick photo while I'm at it for a thumbnail. Sometimes I forget about that. All right, let's dish some up. And then I'm going to give it a taste. I like the tomatoes looking a little bit large and bulky, don't you? I really kind of like the way that looks. Looks pretty good. And I'm really glad that I put the peppers in there, because I think that is going to add a lot of flavor to it. Let me grab a fork. This Aldi sausage, it's not it's not frozen, so you'll find it in the bacon, where you find the bacon. It is not highly seasoned, so honestly, you can just make it however you want. So, let me see here. I know this is going to be really hot. I have to blow this. See the tomatoes and the peppers, and if you make it, why don't you put what you want in there? And you know, you don't need the Hy-Vee brand of mac and cheese. Just use the blue box, or honestly, whatever box you have that you might have gotten on sale. This is worth making for guests as well. That's really, really tasty. It is. I would highly recommend the peppers and onions, or whatever other ingredients you want to put in there. And you know, I didn't put that much cheese on top. And just so you know, I only left it in the oven for 10 minutes. Because, I mean, let's face it, it's pre-cooked. Mmm. Wow, that's good. I'm not missing the hamburger in this at all. I'm not missing that ground beef. Now listen, if you don't want to put this in the oven, to tell you the truth, you could finish this on top of the stove, but I would just use a low heat and put a lid on so that the cheese melts. But you don't necessarily have to put it in the oven. I don't see why that would be the case if you didn't want to. This is really good. I'm sorry if I'm eating in front of you. Mmm. Tasty. Some hot pepper flakes in that would have been nice too. I didn't really think of that. Or, how about some mushrooms? Alright, I'm sure you can think of your own ideas. But this is really, really good, and I have a sneaking suspicion that the leftovers are going to be just as good. Okay, listen, I hope you give this a try. It's pretty economical. I am very, very pleased with this recipe, and I hope you decide to give it a try as well. And isn't this really the truth? This started out with just a little bit of each thing, and honestly, little is much when God is in it. You can just see how inventive and creative this is. I can't take credit for it though. It was on the side of the box. So don't forget to look at the side of the box. Remember, I love you guys. I'm so thankful that you're here. I appreciate every single one of you. Comment below if you like this or if you've done something similar to this. That would be awesome. All right. I love you guys. And as always, little is much when God is in it. Okay? I love ya. Bye-bye, and I'll talk to you later.